got drama in Broncos country because the Broncos are back, except for one very key notable player. And we're going to talk about it on the DNVR Broncos podcast, live from the Toyota Lounge inside the DNVR Bar, which is going to be the place to be for about the next 2 or 3 months as Avs and Nuggets playoffs gets going soon. But fellas, how you doing? Got Todd Davis rolling with us, Henry Chisholm, Alyssa behind the camera, and yours truly.
Feeling great. I feel like I always go first, so I want to hear how Hank is feeling the day.
Wow. I guess the bar. I'm excited about the bar. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have been either at the bar or at the game for every Nuggets and Avs playoff game for the past 4 years, except for when the final game when they got swept by the Warriors. That was one where I was just like, I might just sit at home. I don't need to be around people for this. So yeah, we're getting to the point where like if they both make runs, I'm just going to be here every single night.
I think you just lied to us.
Oh.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't think
was there a draft one?
I don't think anyone was at playoff games 4 years ago.
Oh, that would have... No, because they came back afterward. They had like the bubble.
The bubble was in Florida.
Yeah.
No fans were allowed
But
there.
I was at the bar for those.
No, he's saying he was at the bar.
Was
bar
the
or
bar
the game?
The bar was open?
There was like socially distanced with masks.
Wow. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm pretty
then.
sure.
You didn't
Yeah,
lie to
no, I'm
us.
pretty sure. You'll have to.
I
we can go back
swore
and
that
check the tape.
first year.
I'm pretty sure. Let me double check. I could swear.
Because that was like... Because COVID hit in
Trying to remember a
March.
shot.
And I would be shocked if things were already open in April.
Let me check. I'm pretty sure
You
that's
thinking
right.
it was a 2021?
Maybe it was. I'm pretty sure we were open for the bubble run.
Wow.
I think that it was socially distanced. But I mean, that whole year's kind of a blur. I can't remember if like restaurants started the social distancing thing. Like that would have been like
During the
August.
playoff? Oh, because I forgot that.
Yeah, they
playoffs
shut
were
everything
pushed.
down and pushed it.
Okay, then maybe you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking like just that April, like a month later, and I was like,
It
"There's
is
no
all
way."
just a blur.
But you're right.
I remember almost like none of that.
That
I
is-
remember, so Pac-12 tournament, that was the final game that got played, was like Colorado playing Oregon State maybe. And after the game, I tried to give like a fist bump to Bill Walton, and he was like, "No, we're doing the elbow thing." I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot, we're in a pandemic." And then that's like, after that, I just didn't go outside for like a year.
Was that the last elbow bump that you gave to someone? Was Bill?
That was
Walton?
actually the first.
Oh, the first.
Because it was never like an elbow bump.
Right.
I feel that kind of caught on, I feel like, with the pandemic.
That's a pretty good first to have.
It was, yeah.
Elbow bump with Bill Walton. Todd,
Yeah.
you want to tell us about your firsts?
Not live on camera.
You don't have to tell me off camera either. It's okay. So are you doing better than Henry? Worse than Henry? How we feeling?
I feel good. I'm excited. I do want to come down to the bar and experience playoff basketball and hockey.
It's awesome.
Would like to experience playoff football, but maybe a couple years from now.
Yeah.
So we'll stick with basketball and hockey for right now.
Seeing how cool the bar gets during playoff basketball, playoff hockey, and we're not just talking like game sevens, like game one, every single game, home or away, the bar is such a cool place. I just can't imagine what it's going to be like for playoff football.
Yeah.
Because playoff football is just the game sevens every single game.
Exactly.
And it's Broncos country, it's Denver, it's the Mile High City. Plus, on top of that, like when a team is so good for so long and always in the playoffs, I feel like sometimes people do get a little complacent, fans, and they're like, well, I'm just going to watch this one from home. That's not going to be the case next time the Broncos make the playoffs. This town is going to be wild. And Todd, you said it might be a couple of years from now. And I guess the question today is, will Courtland Sutton be on one of those teams? This morning, we officially find out from a report from Tom Pelissero, which I was able to confirm, and many others were as well. But we find out that Courtland Sutton did not attend yesterday's start of the Broncos offseason program. And I just want to read it exactly in Tom Pelissero's words. He says, Broncos wide receiver Courtland Sutton did not report Monday for voluntary workouts as he seeks a new contract, per source. Sutton is going on his 10th starting quarterback in 7 seasons and has only $2 million guaranteed left on his deal. He had 10 touchdowns in 2023 while ranking 56th in targets. When you hear or saw this report for the first time, initial reaction, Todd?
I get it. I understand like his position, and especially if you understand the landscape of the team right now. You didn't make any big moves as far as wide receiver. You signed somebody, but he wasn't my replacement. It looks like this will be the wide receiver room going into next year. Okay, now that we're at this point, I'm the number one guy. You're bringing in a rookie quarterback. You need me to be there as assurance for him. He's going to need me next year. Mm-hmm. I performed last year. I'm not coming back for just $2 million guaranteed. Like, let's put some money on my book so I feel secure. I can be the man that you guys need me to be for the team, and we can get this ball rolling. So I understand, like, the way he's looking at it and what he sees as far as what's in front of him.
Yeah. I do think if he didn't hold out, things probably play out pretty easily for him just because, like, they're not going to cut him before this season, obviously. So he's going to get the money this year. You would imagine, like, I can't think of a world in which the receivers are so good next year that the Broncos feel like they can cut him to save money. Like maybe a trade. And in a trade, he still gets his money, obviously. So I don't, from either side, really, especially from the Broncos side, honestly, like you could just give him the guaranteed money because what are you really going to do? Like why not bump that $2 million up to fully guaranteed for this year? Because are you really considering cutting him before the end of the season? You know, so it's an interesting situation for sure, but if I were the Broncos, I'd just guarantee more money because you're not cutting him.
Interesting. My initial reaction was, this has been written on the wall in front of us since January that this was going to happen. Do you remember a couple of days after the season ended, and Alyssa, you have it up, the Instagram that Courtland Sutton posted that was, a lot of people thought, a goodbye message from Courtland Sutton. He posted a lot of pictures with teammates, and on the very first picture that he posted, it was two pictures. One is Courtland kind of in the huddle, talking to the guys, getting them fired up before the game, and the one right below it, so still the first picture that he posted, is a picture of Courtland Sutton in the middle, Russell Wilson right next to him, and on the other side, Justin Simmons. Right then, Russ and Justin were still on the team. And maybe there was questions about Russ's future, but no real questions about Justin Simmons' future with the team right there. But it wasn't that and those choice of pictures that was interesting. What people really grabbed on to was Courtland Sutton's caption, which said, "Broncos Country, I'm very grateful to be able to have finished off another season here in Denver. Unfortunately, we weren't able to accomplish our main goal. I'm still grateful for all my teammates and support staff and have been riding with me all season. I know all things happen for a reason, and I trust my God's plans over everything, including whatever is next for me. Just know I gave everything to this team and organization every time I stepped on that field. All love, 14. A lot of fans saw that and said, "Is this a goodbye message from Courtland Sutton?" So this was kind of like maybe a little hint. I believe we talked about it. This dropped Friday night. We talked about it the very next pod we did on Monday morning. And then some other things as well. We found out that Russell Wilson, the only player he told last season about the Broncos asking for him to alter his injury guarantees was Courtland Sutton. Russ and Courtland were very close. Courtland was also very close with Justin Simmons. Broncos move on from Justin. Broncos also move on from his partner in crime in the wide receiver room with Jerry Jeudy. Right after Jerry Jeudy was traded, Courtland Sutton had this tweet. Alyssa, if you wouldn't mind pulling it up, he had a tweet that just appeared to be like, it wasn't him, but what show is this?
What show is this?
Yeah. Fresh Prince. Yeah. I've heard of Fresh Prince before.
Horrible.
It slipped my mind, Todd. It slipped my mind.
Like, it'd be one thing if it wasn't like Will Smith standing there. Like if it was like a different character.
But see, I knew. I know that's Will Smith, but it's not like this was from a show. So I wanted to make sure that I was giving.
So you thought it was from a movie?
Credit. No, I knew it was a show. I know the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Okay, so it's
see,
it's a show and it's Will Smith.
You guys didn't say Bel-Air. I proved that I knew the show.
Okay.
You've heard the title. You didn't know what that was. That's insane.
It slipped.
What's
my
happening
mind,
right here?
okay?
What's happening?
He's standing in an empty room. Like,
why is it empty?
Like I'm the only one that's here. I've never seen the same. I'll definitely give you that one. But this is like kind of a meme that people, or a GIF that people pull up when it's like,
we know
I'm the only one here.
Yeah.
And I'm explaining to the people that are listening that can't watch right now, Henry.
Yep.
Not explain to us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
No,
he
I've
asked
seen
me
it.
what was happening here, so I explained it. And I feel like this is kind of like a sad connotation and like meaning when you post this. You're not like happy that everyone has left.
You can tell by his
Right?
face, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Now, do you guys want to bring the context of this real scene into play?
This was like the end of the show, basically.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I probably should have known
Yeah,
that.
and the show was like ending after, I don't know, maybe 8 seasons. And they had a long run, and this was kind of like, that living room was kind of like the nucleus of everything that kind of happened on the show. So to see the empty living room is kind of like punch in the gut, like it's really over.
Wow. So then even more along this, I should have read even more into Courtland's tweet that like, man, this is the end. So to bring this all together, there were just so many signs that like this was coming to this potentially.
Yeah.
Whether it was, and I think Courtland has also tweeted like, maybe you guys are all reading too much into all of this. I think he even tweeted that just like 2 weeks ago. Apparently we weren't, because he's not happy in some respect. Whether he wants a trade, whether he wants a straight new contract, whether he wants just more guarantees on the contract he currently has, we really shouldn't be surprised by this. This did not come out of thin air where we had no idea.
Personally, this is just my personal opinion. I do not believe that Courtland wants to be traded and wants to leave the Broncos. But I do believe that he wants security. For the last couple of years, it's been, has he done what he needed to do? Is he going to be on the team next year? Is he going to be traded?
Yeah.
Like, what is his future? Like, nobody wants to live through that continuously. Even this year, it was, are they going to trade him? Are they going to go get another player that possibly can replace him? Like, you don't want to live like that, especially when you're doing everything that you can for the team. You've had 10 quarterbacks in 7 years. Like, what more do you want from me? At least give me a little security so I'm not looking over my shoulder. Every trade deadline, I'm looking and wondering, is my name going to get called? Like, I don't want to go through that again. And I think this is what this is. It's like, I want to be here. If you guys want me to be here and you're not, if you don't want to play any more games, like I'm potentially traded, let's put some money behind this talk and like let's lock it in so I can be here.
And it has been a full year of him having to, actually maybe even a little more than a full year, but a full year of like every other week opening up his phone and seeing like, oh, Courtland Sutton trade speculation. So it has been a long time. So I could see where he would say, I want some securities here. But as Henry said, I mean, the way the wide receiver room and the offense is and the way this team is set up right now, it's pretty clear he was going to be on the team this year. He only has $2 million left on his entire contract that he got a couple of years ago. He still has 2 years left on the deal, but only $2 million in guarantees. And those guarantees kicked in a couple of weeks ago. When those guarantees kicked in, it was like, yeah, nothing probably changes with his future. But like he's not. The Broncos moved on from Justin Simmons to save cap room. They did that 2 months ago. They probably would have done that with Courtland Sutton 2 months ago as well if they were going to do that. So once the Broncos kind of made those moves, went through free agency, it was like, yeah, Courtland's going to get his $13 million in salary this coming year. So I don't think there was much of a question in terms of the guarantees. So I don't think Courtland Sutton is just looking for more guarantees. Like, I don't think he's looking at the 2 years of his deal that's left and saying, let's just turn all of that salary into guarantees and I'm good. I think when Tom Pelissero reports that Courtland Sutton is looking for a new deal, it's not more guarantees. It's a whole new deal. It's, I'm getting paid an average of $15 million right now with this deal, $13 million this year in cash, $14 million in cash next year. I don't want more guarantees. I want 4 years, $80 million deal with $50 million guaranteed. I think he's looking for a brand new deal, not just more guarantees.
Yeah, it could be. That's a lot tougher from a Broncos perspective. I mean, from a Broncos perspective, if he just wants guaranteed money, guarantee the money. Like, there's, why not? Like, he's your only good offensive skill position player. And worst case scenario, you trade him and it doesn't hurt anyway. If he wants a new deal, then that's like a whole nother conversation because, I mean, he obviously would need
Well,
more
Henry,
money per year.
You said it's a whole nother conversation. Let's have that whole other conversation after I tell you about our friends over at Toyota, where if you need a new car, you've got to check out Toyota because they have so many different types of cars. Whether you're looking for a sports car type of car, an SUV, a truck, they have so many different trucks, and they've been in the truck game for generations. You guys know about the Corolla, the Camry. My first car ever was actually a Corolla, and I loved it.
The purple one?
The purple one, exactly.
right.
The purple one that I came home from a weekend away, and it was crumpled on the side of my
Dang.
house. Yeah, and I was like, wow, thanks for telling me, Mom and Dad. I find out this way. But
You need another one.
Yeah, I do need another one. And when I get another car, I'm going for the RAV4. That is my type of car. That's like the ultimate dad car, in my opinion, is because then you got room for all the kids,
Yeah.
all their friends, all their gear. You can go to the mountains. You're also sporty driving around town. So that's the car that I'm going to go for. And if you want to get yourself a 4Runner or any type of car, visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you where they have tons. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR.
And make sure you download Bet365 because there's a lot to bet on right now. Tonight, we've got the play-in games. I actually haven't looked at the odds yet. I'm a little bit concerned because I was supposed to play my Madden game last night, but the guy's internet wasn't good enough. So we're trying to get that in tonight. The Lakers and Pelicans are at 5:30.
Last time I saw Lakers were -2.5.
Okay. I was hoping for a little bit more there because that so Pelicans now -1.5.
Whoa.
Probably the tank room here. I mean,
You don't, Todd. I
you
need this from like someone that's been in professional sports. Explain this tank rumor to Todd.
I mean, a lot of people are saying the Lakers might actually just want to lose this game and
Yep.
win the second to dodge the Nuggets.
To me, that is like unbelievable that a team could do that. I could see maybe at
It's
the
crazy.
end of a regular season trying to set yourself up better for a better playoff matchup, but the Lakers are not in the playoffs right now. This is a play-in game. Is there any chance that a professional team intends to lose a play-in game, and then that makes it a single elimination game if they lose this first one?
I can understand it. I can understand it from the standpoint of we're trying to make a long run, not just make the playoffs. And if making a long run makes more sense to lose this first game, I understand it. I think that's why you sit players week 18, or not week 18, but week 17, getting ready for the playoffs. I think you're trying to make a run for the championship and not just be your best going into playoffs. You got to time. It's like a timing thing.
And
So
buy
I can
it.
understand it. I mean, there's rumors that the Miami Dolphins were told to lose.
yeah.
So who knows? But that's another story. But I definitely could see it. I could
Well,
see it happening.
And in this case, if they did this and got the 8th seed, they'd play OKC in the first round. Hardly any playoff experience on that team.
Yeah,
and the
it's true.
second round, they play the Clippers or the Mavericks. But if they play Denver in the first round, I mean, Nuggets have beat them 8 times in a row. I mean, that's obvious what's going on there. And the second round, you play the Suns or the Timberwolves. So all that other side of the bracket looks really nice. And if you're really going to be like a championship contender, you should be able to beat the Warriors or the Kings, right? Like,
You're talking about the Warriors.
Yeah.
Like, the Nuggets are great, but if you want to look at the best team in the NBA over the past 15
Well,
years,
yeah.
10 years, the Warriors won it, what, 2 years ago? 3
Yeah.
years ago? Like,
few
it's not
years,
like they're
but that's-
so far. I don't want anything to do with Steph Curry in a win and you're in type of game.
I don't
But
know.
I think they've already beaten them to get in. Didn't they already play him in a playing game and beat them?
Not this year.
No, not this year, but I'm saying before.
they did.
So they may not be afraid of that. And to be honest, it doesn't take that much to lose this game. If I'm being honest,
Yeah.
AD is already kind of battling something right now. It takes LeBron's
Again.
shoulder a little funky that we're just like, we're gonna rest him. Everybody else play hard. Like they don't have to tell anybody else to take the game off.
But then for those exact reasons, like, it's the same thing. I just don't want my whole season riding on one game.
I feel you.
I don't think they
Man.
will, but I do think that that's a possibility. And like, if you're LeBron with like, there's 3 minutes left in the game, like you're down by 1, like the thought probably crosses your mind, like, yeah, this could be a good thing. And as soon as that thought crosses your mind in a game, like that's just such a leg up for the team that's like not trying to lose.
Do you think LeBron ever had LeBron? He identified himself like coming out of high school as the king.
Yes.
Do you think he is really one to say like in the second quarter or third quarter, like, this game's over? Like, no.
I mean, I think old man LeBron maybe. I think old man LeBron definitely has some of that.
I just think it makes
like,
sense. And I don't know if it's necessarily a LeBron call, but as the head coach, I can see the field. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to say, LeBron doesn't have to come into my office and say, hey, I think we should lose this game.
Right.
But as the head coach, I can say, it's probably better for us to take this road down the bracket than this road. So I'm going to find ways to, I might make a bad call or two. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I'm taking the Lakers tonight. But the good thing for the Nuggets, the winner of this game plays the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are going to handle business. I think this is like the best scenario for the Nuggets is one of these two teams.
Yeah. It'd be so fun to beat the Lakers.
So give me Lakers plus 1.5.
My thing is, I just hope they get pushed a little bit. Like, I would love for like the Lakers series to be kind of like grimy.
No,
because
sweep, make it 12 in a row.
But I feel like that's what helped them so much last year was that they had to like battle through so many games because you're going to be
Nuggets?
playing. Yeah, there were a lot of close games.
The Nuggets' first series was 5 games.
Yeah, but I mean those games were tight. Same thing, like they sweep the Lakers, but the games were pretty tight.
Okay, give me a tight sweep. I'll take that.
Exactly. No, see, exactly. That's perfect.
That's not
exactly
that tight.
Because you're going to be playing the Timberwolves or the Suns, and whoever wins that. Like, that series is going to be a real grind. Like, whoever wins that one's going to be cooking coming out of that. And so you don't want to be just, like, sleepwalking through that first round. Point is, a lot to bet on tonight. I'm going to make a little parlay. I'm thinking Pelicans. The thing is, I want the Lakers to win. Probably Pelicans and I'll go Warriors. I think the Kings are better, but maybe Steph Curry is a game. You can get in on that, and if you decide to use our code DNVR365, I know.
Easy. I'm not even thinking about it.
They're so bad now,
easy.
though. Like
the Warriors?
They're not a good. They finished last in their division.
The Warriors, I think, finished as the second hottest team entering the playoffs in like the past couple weeks.
Also finished 5th of 5 in the Pacific.
Yeah, but what have you done for me lately?
Okay. But yeah, use that code DNVR365, deposit $10, and you can choose between either a bet and get offer, where you place a bet $5 or more, get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer by placing a bet up to $1,000. And if your qualifying bet loses, you receive a matched refund in bonus bets. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Okay, we have a really important ask for everyone, which is going to help you, but also help us as well. Apple Podcasts did something at the beginning of this year, I think, where typically it would just automatically download your podcasts for you. And that helps us out. It helps you out by putting it in there. They stopped that. So now you have to go in and automatically and turn on either automatic downloads or download every podcast individually. If everyone watching on YouTube, listening to the podcast, would go to Apple Podcasts and please turn on downloads for our podcast, it really, really, really would help us out. It's easy to do. Just open up our show on Apple Podcasts. Top right-hand corner, there's a little button. If you click it, it says podcasts have been paused, turn on automatic downloads, hit that. It'll help us out so much. I know Cody is the ultimate champ for everyone hitting the like button on YouTube. If everyone would go and do that on podcasts, it would help us a ton. Please. Okay, that was a great conversation in the little break we had. Let's get into another great conversation. Should the Broncos give Courtland Sutton a new deal that he's looking for?
That's a tougher one. I mean, he's 29 now. He'll be 30 next year. Adding a year or two onto that, he's still going to be a good player. I think it's hard right now to commit to any player on the team just because things aren't going well. At the same time, though, Courtland Sutton is going to be your best offensive player, skill position player this season. Probably next season, too, as it stands now. Who knows who they draft. But if if that's what it takes, if you tack one more year on and throw on the guarantees, if that is what makes him happy, then sure. Like why not? I mean, what are you really going to hurt? Your cap situation frees up then, or at that time anyway, and you keep him on the roster as, again, like your most important offensive player probably.
Yeah, I think he has earned his contract. If you look at his numbers compared to other wide receivers and the amount he's been targeted, he's definitely outperforming his targets by a long shot. I think he needs more targets and he needs a stable quarterback. So hopefully we get that in this draft. I think a happy medium would be to fully guarantee the rest of the contract, which is 2 years, but that second year is a player option year. So if he's unhappy and he really wants out instead of a new deal, he has that option, but he also has guaranteed money if he wants to take it. So I think that's a happy medium to make kind of like everybody happy and give him a little bit more freedom and absolutely security. Because if he doesn't like it, I'm out and I'm going to get a new deal somewhere. If it's here, that's fine too, but at least that gives me the option to, after next year, I can decide my fate.
Todd, I can tell that you were a former player in the NFL because you just devised a great contract for Courtland Sutton there. And I would have to think, like I said earlier, I do think Courtland's looking for a brand new 4-year, $80 million deal. But outside of that, I think he would absolutely take what you are saying, because now he knows going into this offseason, look, I just saw my good friend Tim Patrick get hurt in back-to-back preseasons and training camps leading up to a season where now he had to change his contract this year because that last year the deal didn't have the guarantees. If I get all my money guaranteed this year and next year, I don't have to worry about that. Then I'm okay. So I think he would take that. And then, of course, the player option would be perfect. Whether it's for because he goes out and has 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns again, then he can say, I'm going to get more than the 13 or 14 million that I have in salary next year. Or he says, you guys went and got a rookie quarterback. This guy stunk. Jarrett Stidham didn't do anything this year. I played with now 12 quarterbacks in the past couple of years, and I'm not able to do anything with my production. I think what you just did was put a great contract out there for Courtland Sutton. Let me take the other side. I'm going to look at it from the Broncos' standpoint. I think the Broncos look at Courtland and say, a new contract? Why? We have overpaid you these past couple of years. And in fact, you have a very fair contract right now. And the reason I say that, and the reason the Broncos, I think, what would counter with that is let's kind of compare Courtland's deal with the rest of the NFL and how it sits right now. So Courtland signed that 4-year, $60 million deal. It averaged just over $15 million per year. He has 2 years left on his deal. $13 million in cash this year, $14 million in cash next year. So he's getting an average salary of $15 million. In today's NFL, Tyreek Hill is the highest paid receiver at $30 million. Half of Tyreek Hill, that's kind of a big gap there, but where does it align with the rest of the NFL? Sutton is the 22nd highest paid receiver in the NFL with that $15 million average. Stephon Diggs, so Courtland Sutton 22nd in the NFL. In total cash, which, Todd, you brought the perspective, which is a very good perspective to bring, is cash is what players care about. They don't care about, necessarily the average. Certainly, they don't care about cap hit, which Courtland has a $17 million cap hit this year, almost $18 million cap hit next year. Courtland doesn't care about that, and that's totally fair. Total cash this year, Stephon Diggs is number one at $29.7 million. Courtland Sutton is 23 at $13.6 million. So Courtland kind of right there, 22, 23, highest paid receiver in the NFL on his current deal. Okay, so then how does that compare to the stats that he has and his production? This past year, 59 catches. That was 62nd in the NFL. Now, to be fair, that is taking in running backs. Probably not many running backs ahead of him, though. And then also tight ends, which probably not a ton, but there certainly are probably 5 tight ends in there. But still, 62nd in catches. His catch rate of 65.5% ranks 121st in the NFL. Again, taking into account every position, not just wide receiver. Receiving yards, 772 this past year. That's 44th in the NFL. 13.1 yards per catch, 37th. 37 first downs, that's 43rd in the NFL. And 10 touchdowns, tied for 4th. So let's just put touchdowns aside. He's right around between like late 30s and 60s with all of his other stats. And I know stats don't tell the full story. So averages out to somewhere in the 40s in terms of production as a receiver. And then let's add the 10 touchdowns in there, tied for 4th. Brings him somewhere in the 30s probably. If you're just trying to combine all of these stats into like a where does he rank receiver-wise? In the 30s. Well, I just told you that like the two biggest things to look at in terms of his contract are at 22 and 23. So the Broncos would say, yeah, you want to redo your contract and like take a pay cut to make it so you're in the 30s for average pay and all those things. So I think the Broncos say, wait, we think that we're overpaying you right now and you want even more? No thanks, from a Broncos standpoint.
Yeah, and I would say it's not how it works because there's so many guys in front of him who are still on rookie contracts. And so you have to look at where does he rank among guys who aren't on rookie contracts. And as soon as you start taking out, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle.
In terms of pay or in terms
of pay. But in terms of the stats too, because you should be, in theory, if you're paid the 22nd most of any receiver on second contract, that'd be how it works. Then you should be top 22 in terms of stats for those guys. Because as soon as you start saying like, well, he's behind Jalen Waddle. Well, yeah, but Jalen Waddle's a $20 million a year receiver. He just hasn't hit the market yet. And so when you factor in all those guys, even all the way down to like, there's Chris Olave in there who might be in front of him. I mean, the list of receivers who've come out in the last 4 years is massive. And then on top of that, so I think from there, you just look at who makes more money per year than he does. And right in front of him is Jerry Jeudy. Court should be making more money than Jerry.
That was my number one argument. I had two. First one, 2 words, Jerry Jeudy.
Yep.
Most of his career, most of his years in Denver, I outplayed him. He went and got 3 years, $58 million.
Yep.
I'm still playing a 4-year, $60 million. Doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Right. We talk about the market and how it sets itself.
Yep.
You want to talk about stats and ranking. So if we're going to rank stats, my stats have been better than Jerry's. So I should be being paid more than Jerry's.
So let's dive into that. That's a deeper conversation.
Yeah.
Gotta tell you about Red Hawk Roofing first, because I think that's going to be quite a conversation. Red Hawk Roofing, they've been part of the DNVR family for a long time and big DNVR supporters. So if you want to support them and also go with the company that you can trust when it comes to roofs, sometimes you don't know who you can trust. Red Hawk Roofing has our stamp of approval. They also have free no-obligation roof and property inspection, free in-depth photo reports for all inspections, and hail season is here. So make sure to take advantage of this before hail gets to your roof. So if you want a new roof, check out Red Hawk Roofing at redhawkroofing.com and make sure to tell them DNVR sent you.
And shout out to our friends over at Coors Light, the only beer that is made to chill. Everybody in the Broncos organization needs to just grab a Coors Light, chill.
Yes.
We're going to figure the situation out. We're going to get Court his money that he deserves. You can't go wrong with Coors Light. It's a perfect beer. And if you want to deliver straight to your door, you can get it with Instacart. Going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Remember to celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Let's chill.
Yeah. So then you go on. So like next highest paid receiver in front of Jerry Jeudy, Christian Kirk.
Oh, you're just going to skip over
We'll come back to Jerry.
Argument?
Well, no, let's get back to Jerry. But real quick, I just want to run through these other guys first.
Go ahead.
So in front of Jerry is Christian Kirk. He makes $18 million a year. Christian Kirk
Who's his quarterback?
Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Both of you. Oh, whoa. Now, when you want to say he's what you bash Trevor Lawrence. You've been like, I don't know if he's even good.
But is he better?
Now when it works for you want to say he's pretty good?
Well,
just want to call out an inconsistency there.
I mean, he's like a top 10, top 12 quarterback. Like, he's better than what Court's been working with.
What was Russ last year when we just look at stats?
I don't know where he was stats. There you go. But the point is, Christian Kirk, 787 yards, 3 touchdowns. So better stats for Sutton. In front of Kirk at $18.3 million, Deontay Johnson. Last year, Deontay Johnson, 717 yards, 5 touchdowns. So better stats for Courtland. In front of him, Brandon Cooks at $19.8 million a year. Brandon Cooks, I've opened too many tabs. It's loading. It's loading. 657 last year, 699 the year before, but in 2021, 1,000-yard receiver. So then in front of that is Chris Godwin making $20 million a year. He has better numbers than Court. He puts up 1,000-yard seasons. But when you look at Court at 15.2, then Jerry at 17.5, Kirk at 18, Deontay Johnson 18.3, Brandon Cooks 19. Like I think you would take Court over any of those guys.
And then
easily.
once you go higher up the list, what are you seeing?
Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, Stephon Diggs, Terry McLaurin, Calvin, like great receivers.
Great quarterback, great quarterback, great quarterback, great quarterback, great quarterback.
That's the thing. Yes.
Courtland has had 10. One of them was okay, and that was Russell Wilson. If you look at his numbers, they say, like you said, his targets are right around 42nd. His receptions are 41st, which means he's right on pace with his targets.
Yeah.
His receiving yards is 30 seconds, which means that for the targets he's getting more receiving yards on average. So all this tells me is he needs more targets.
Probably,
In my mind, but the way these numbers work out, is if he was first in targets, he probably would be first in receptions and probably first in receiving yards. I know it's a stretch, but
I was gonna say,
it tells me that the more targets Courtland gets, the more productive he is. So he simply doesn't have the 1,000-yard seasons because it's a lack of targets, not because it's a lack of talent. And he's well outperforming anyone in regards to touchdowns. Because he's fourth in touchdowns with 40, but he's 42nd in targets.
Yeah, and certainly that's what Courtland.
I'm just his agent. Hey, hire me, Court. You know what I'm saying?
You're getting a new contract.
What's your percent?
Give me 1%. I'll take 1%. You know what I'm saying? I'll do it for that.
What a deal!
That's a
Will you
steal.
stay on the podcast?
Yeah, I could do both.
Hell yeah!
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Maybe get Court in every other week or something.
Yeah, we can work that into the contract as long as it doesn't take out of my 1%. You know what I'm saying?
So I mean, you are absolutely right. When looking at these numbers, you look and Jerry Jeudy, his new contract that he got with the Browns is probably something like. Court's like, man, I'm so happy for my guy Jerry getting this deal. And then he's like, wait, he's making more than me? Wait, I need more money now because Jerry Jeudy, total cash this year. Courtland Sutton ranks 23rd in the NFL from wide receivers at 13.6. Jerry Jeudy's 14th at $19 million. When it comes to the average, Jerry Jeudy's at $17.5 million, one spot ahead of Courtland Sutton at $15.2 million. And in terms of stats, it's like, well, yeah, Courtland Sutton is better. He was their number one. Stats don't really back that up. The one that touchdowns this past year, Courtland Sutton obviously had more. Jerry Jeudy only had 2 touchdowns. But let's compare the other stats because I think so often it is like, well, yeah, Court's the number one, like, and it's not even close. Not really, though. In terms of stats, and stats don't tell the whole story, but that's an easy place that, I'm sure in the contract negotiations, is pointed to. Receptions this past year, Jerry Jeudy had 54, Courtland Sutton had 59. Pretty darn close advantage to Courtland Sutton there. In terms of yards, Courtland Sutton had 772 receiving yards. Jerry Jeudy had 758 receiving yards. Obviously, the touchdowns, not close. Courtland 10, Jerry Jeudy 2. 1 year ago, or 2 years ago in 2022, Courtland Sutton had 64 catches. Jerry Jeudy had 67 catches. Slight advantage, Jerry Jeudy. So over the past 2 years, they kind of average out to like the exact same number of catches. Receiving yards 2 years ago, Jerry Jeudy 972 receiving yards. Courtland Sutton 829. So advantage kind of significantly. Jerry Jeudy there. Courtland Sutton had 2 receiving touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy had 6. Kind of the same. Like averaged out over the last 2 years, Courtland Sutton a few more touchdowns, Jerry Jeudy a few more yards. Receptions, I think Courtland Sutton literally has like 2 more. So it's not like Courtland Sutton is like so much better than Jerry Jeudy and he should get a much bigger contract than him. In fact, I think from a Broncos perspective and in these negotiations, they would say, yeah, you're getting paid like just behind Jerry Jeudy and you guys have like just the same stats. Like we said earlier, we think your contract is 100% fair right now. In fact, we might be overpaying you a bit.
So all those receivers that you mentioned, top-tier receivers, even Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, you think any of them has a number 2 that they only have 2 more catches than?
I think a lot of those guys were number 2s.
Who?
Like Christian Kirk. Behind Ridley. Brandon Cooks would be behind CD.
But he had worse. No, they all had worse stats.
They all had worse stats.
I'm talking
yeah.
people with better stats.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just making an argument that Courtland was never fed like a number one.
It's true.
So I don't think it's a lack of talent.
So
he needs the ball. And that's what his case is, that what you've given me, I've performed with.
Sure.
So I think why Jerry Jeudy got his contract was not because of what he has done in particular. It's because they feel like now in this system with this new quarterback, he's going to be worth $17.5 million.
Sure.
Because in all reality, he probably should have got numbers probably closer to what Courtland is getting right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if they believe that this new rookie quarterback is going to come in and solve a lot of our problems, Courtland should even be better and be more of a help to this rookie quarterback.
Also, the website that tracks pass interference stats died before the season.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, Football Outsiders, which was the best. So I was able to find some tweets. Last year, Courtland Sutton third with 122 yards gained off of pass interference calls. 2022. In 2021 and 2020, can't remember which was which, but I think he led the NFL in pass interference calls and pass interference yards in like one or the other. So that's the other thing.
Can't guard me. They holding me, coach.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
You
that.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want to get your guys' opinion on what should happen. But there's just one thing, because you mentioned the receivers above Courtland Sutton and how he's outperformed some of them or been on a similar wavelength. A guy that just got paid. Again, I'm taking this from the Broncos' perspective because you guys are showing it from Courtland's perspective really well. The guy that just got paid, Gabe Davis, is
exactly
right below Courtland Sutton. His contract is behind Courtland Sutton. He's almost like Courtland Sutton 2.0. Now, he has had Josh Allen, and that's what Courtland Sutton would say is he had Josh Allen. But, I mean, he has, like, the exact same stats in terms of catches, yards, just behind on touchdowns. But over the past 4 years, he has way more touchdowns than Courtland Sutton does. Last year, 7. Courtland Sutton had 10. You give him the advantage there. But that's what the Broncos would say is, yeah, the market did just show itself. It's Jerry Jeudy, who's right above you, Gabe Davis, who's right below you. Dude, we're paying you your market value. So that was just the final point I wanted to put on here. And then one other point before I ask you guys what the Broncos should end up doing and what will end up happening is I'm just not sure that Courtland Sutton is the best fit in Sean Payton's offense. I think he was great with Russell Wilson. I think that's exactly the type of quarterback that Courtland Sutton succeeds with is the deep ball, where that is his number one. And if Courtland's the one, if he's the two, whatever, it doesn't matter. He needs the ball thrown up to him early and often because last year we saw the ridiculously awesome plays he makes when he's given a chance. But those plays are with the deep balls. In Sean Payton's offense, it's more of a timing offense. That doesn't mean that you don't benefit from having a deep ball guy, but people pointed to, oh man, Courtland Sutton might be the next Michael Thomas in this offense. Well, Michael Thomas, they both have like the exact same build, but Michael Thomas wasn't this like deep ball guy. That's not, he could do it, but that wasn't his strength. Like that is Courtland Sutton's strength. So that's why I'm just not sure that this is like the best fit to pay Courtland more. I think Courtland is a great asset for a rookie quarterback because he can make those ridiculous plays. But when I look at long term, I don't know if the Broncos should commit to him on a deal because I just don't know if he fits exactly what Sean Payton wants to make such a big investment in him. That's not taking away from Courtland. It's just the fit might not be there.
I think that Sean's offense, every great offense has layers.
Yeah.
And so Michael Thomas just happened to be the middle layer of that offense. Whether it was Brandon Cooks or so many other receivers that were the deep ball threat when, you know what I'm saying, Sean was at New Orleans, I wouldn't say that he just didn't have the deep ball as part of his game. He's just star wide receiver. His strength was being that middle piece, and then all the running backs were like the shorter pieces, and he also had, you know, guys over the top. So I think that it's a part of his game, and even, you know, his offense, it just has to be thrown more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's
totally
there.
get that.
I think it's there.
Yeah, and I think I mean, Courtland to me is kind of a prototypical X receiver. Like, he's exactly what you draw up to be that guy. And Sean Payton's offense has always had just like a true X, whether it's Michael Thomas or Marcus Colston or any one of those guys that they've kind of filtered through there.
I don't think that's what Courtland is.
I think he is. I think he definitely is. I think that when you look at him, I think you could say we'd rather, like, that's a position we'll spend more on. Like, if you say, well, we want a top 5 receiver in the NFL, top 10 receiver in the NFL to fill that role, then that would be your justification to upgrade. But I think, to me, Courtland, like, you isolate him in one-on-one coverage and he's going to win. I don't know that he's always gotten used that way.
He's going to win deep.
So
I think he can. What do you think, Todd?
I think he can win in the slant game. I think he did it a little bit this year. But I just think that you just make that X receiver the deep receiver instead of your slant guy. And you have that slot receiver or that Z receiver. That's why you brought in Reynolds. That's why you have Tim Patrick. You have guys that run, the more intermediate routes and over the middle of the field. I think you don't have, just because of what, what's the wide receiver's name?
Marvin Mims?
No, at New Orleans.
Michael Thomas?
Michael Thomas.
Just because of what Michael Thomas did at X, I don't think that's the only thing Sean can do at X.
Totally fair.
With the X receiver.
Totally fair.
Yeah. I mean, Jerry Jeudy's average depth of target was deeper than Court's last year. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Really quick, want to give a shout out to Breck. We're going to be there next Thursday. Come join us. You can get your tickets over at DNVR_Broncos on Twitter. It's the top pinned tweet at the top of our page. Click there. It's $15 to get you a burger, beer, and you get to hang out and watch the draft show with us. You get to be there for the draft. And we would love to see as many people down there as possible. And then also shout out to Raising Cane's. Chicken fingers, you can download or you can purchase your food online or through their mobile app where you don't have to wait in line. They're the official sponsor of our draft coverage. So shout out to Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love. Okay,
Wait, real quick. Can't you wait for the day that you can just download food?
Just like, it comes through your phone.
Just comes straight through the phone.
That would be incredible. I'd be so
my
big.
gosh. I was going to say it would
That'd
be
be
great,
terrible.
but awful for just what that means for humans.
Yes.
We will be so big.
Oh, my
It would be
goodness.
incredible.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be
You don't
so
even have to
good.
walk to your kitchen.
No.
Oh,
Sit in your
You
chair.
don't go to the grocery
You don't have to
store.
shower.
Yeah.
nothing changes here.
You've embraced it. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. I think the final piece of the Courtland Sutton thing to me, though, is that the Broncos really need him.
I think so.
And I think basically anytime there's like a dispute like this, 90% of the power is with the team, unless the player can threaten to retire, which obviously Courtland isn't going to retire at 29. But with that, like that massive caveat, Courtland does have a decent amount of power because, I said this to the Madden chat and they mostly agreed. Courtland Sutton, if you just like polled all
They
the NFL,
mostly agree. I don't agree with that.
they did.
There was a lot of pushback.
I don't think that's true. You gotta go back and check the tapes. There were some people saying at first I was confused, but then I was like, yeah, this is. I think he's right. If you were to just poll every NFL GM and say like which of the Broncos offensive skill position players are starters in the NFL, like in 2024 should be looked at as starters in the NFL, I would guess that half the league would say Courtland Sutton's the only one. Like, I think that you look around and they would say Marvin Mims hasn't proven himself. Tim Patrick is coming off of 2 years of injury. You can't trust him. Adam Troutman, like, maybe there's a conversation. Maybe he should be a starter in the NFL, but if he is, he's right on the fringe. Javonte Williams, there's a conversation. 3.6 yards per carry last year, and there's so many running backs.
But Henry, we don't need to debate whether that's true or not because that might be true. That doesn't matter.
You don't think so?
No, because 20 general managers or the majority of people view Courtland Sutton as being the only position player that would start. It doesn't mean that because he would be a number 2 wide receiver on 32 teams, doesn't mean that the Broncos should give him a raise from being already a number 1 receiver.
Oh, totally. It's not because of what other people think. It's because the point of all that is to say they just don't have any legitimate weapons on offense. And if they don't have Courtland Sutton this year, they're not scoring 2 touchdowns a game. Like, they're just not. Like,
They're scoring 1.8.
Was that they were 2.2 last year?
I'm saying, like, I don't know if
It might not
changes
be a
that
huge
much.
difference, but
You say what? You don't know if it changes that much?
Correct. Yeah.
I don't. Courtland's 10 touchdowns. He had 2 in the top 5 of catches in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're on a couple of them. I don't think there's any wide receiver, maybe 1 or 2 in the league that could make those catches. Yeah. So I think it would dramatically change the offense and their production, because if you throw those balls up to any other player on the team at that time, they're not touchdowns. That corner end zone toe grab against the Bills, anybody else on the roster, it's not a touchdown. That deep ball at Houston, not a touchdown.
Totally agree with you, Todd.
Yeah.
Courtland Sutton made special plays last year. There's no doubt about it. But let's say you remove him. You're not removing 10 touchdowns, 54 catches, 772 yards. That's being replaced. It might only be replaced 80%. But I agree with you. There were... of those touchdowns, 3 were insane. 99% on Courtland. You're right. I'm not going to even try to make the argument that another receiver makes those 3. But another receiver could have had the other 7 ones. And then so you're missing 21 points in production because you don't have Court. Okay, one point per game. And this isn't just like keeping Court or not. This is now Court wanting a new deal. And wanting a bigger deal is that 1 point a game. And remember, those 10 touchdowns were only last year. In terms of, and again, just viewing it from a Broncos perspective, kind of how they would push back on this. Touchdowns for Courtland Sutton, the 3 previous years, 2, 2, and 0. And that 0-1 was when he got hurt, so don't want to include that. So 4 touchdowns in the third and second year combined. So you average them out. I'm just saying, I don't think it hurts that much.
I think it hurts massively. I think they won 8 games last year without Court. You're looking more at like 4. Maybe it's 5.
Receivers, it's a dependent position. Receivers just not worth that much.
But
in my not even close.
But they didn't have anything else. They didn't have production from anybody.
When Marvin Mims, as you were making the case for Court getting more touches, which he certainly has a good case for that. Marvin Mims is the ultimate case for more touches. When he got the ball thrown his way, he did incredible things. So I actually do think
early
that
on.
if exactly. But then the touches just weren't there.
Yeah, but that's again my point though.
I think there's a larger sample size for Courtland though, to make that argument.
That's true.
And my point is though that if they're on pace to win 6 games with Courtland this year, I think they're winning like 3 without him. Like I don't see where you're getting enough offense to score more than. Again, like you're not getting 2 touchdowns a game if you don't have Courtland Sutton, who is, in my opinion, your only real skill position player on offense who should be a starter in the NFL, who you should look at and say, this season he is a starter in the NFL. You take that away, you're, in my mind, probably going from 6 wins to 4 wins, 6 wins to 3 wins. And in that world, George Paton's out at the end of the year. Sean Payton's going into next year on the hot seat, needing to prove that there's a path forward here. And if you're either one of those guys trying to figure out what you're doing with Courtland this season, that should be on your mind. And I think that Courtland has some power there because he is the only player on that offense who you can trust to produce.
And I honestly feel like, stats aren't everything, but he did 10 touchdowns in really like 15 games, I felt like, because he missed one, and then that last one of the season, he was still injured. So it is what it is. And I think you just have to remember what the offense looked like anytime he wasn't on the field.
Yep.
Like Russell Wilson crumbled every time Courtland Sutton wasn't there. Like it was a big, big loss. And I feel like that's what it would be, especially for a rookie quarterback, next year without a safety net. Everybody needs one. And I think the Broncos have one. And so they got to do what they can to keep him. I think the best thing to do would just be to try and guarantee the money. I'm not saying you got to go out and pay Courtland, $18, $19 million a year, but I think he needs the security of knowing that money is coming to him. Push come to shove, no injury could take the money away. Even no trade, or I think us saying like the $2 million kind of kept Courtland and we know he's going to be on the roster. That's not true at all. I've seen them take TJ Ward's option and then 3 days before training camp. I've seen them give me my whatever and then, a day before rosters, and I'm like, it happens.
Sure.
So I understand him like, $2 million is cool, but at least guarantee me so I'm secure knowing that 3 days before the season, I'm not out looking for a team, or you guys haven't traded me, and now I'm got to learn a new playbook in 2 days and got to figure it out for myself. Got to, my new wife got to move. I got to get a new house. Like, I don't want to go through that.
So let's say, I think that is a great option there, Todd, to guarantee all of the money, because they're probably, let's say they don't want to guarantee all 13.6 million, but they guarantee 9 of it. I would have to imagine that would give pretty good safety net to Courtland to be like, and if they do cut me, well, then I got $9 million to go find a new team. Let's say that option isn't on the table, and the 3 options are trade him, pay him a new deal as Tom Pelissero's report, and it might not be all encompassing, but it did say he's looking for a new deal, not just more guarantees. So trade him, pay him, or call his bluff and hope he comes back on the same contract he's on, or force him to hold out into training camp, hold out into the season. What do you think happens with Courtland if those are the 3 options?
Realistically,
Yeah.
I feel like the holdout is most possible. If the Chiefs can do it with Chris Jones,
Yeah.
sadly,
Right.
it could be done to anybody.
Right.
Yep.
And I just think it's always tough. And everybody has their own decisions to make, and everybody's going to handle business their own way. But I do feel like every time I've seen a person get a re-up before it was time, they were in the building. And same thing with Chris Jones. When you're not there, I think teams feel some type of way.
Yep.
And they kind of want to prove a point most of the time. And, all the guys I've seen that got, renegotiated quickly or got it done, it usually helps when you're in the building. And that's just my opinion and what I've seen.
Yeah.
I think everybody does what they want to do, but that's just what I've seen.
Yep. I
perspective.
think most likely is nothing happens. And maybe Court holds out. Maybe he just shows up for the mandatory minicamp in a couple weeks. Who knows? But that's probably most likely. I do think, Court is just such a big piece of that offense. Like if you're trying to draft a rookie quarterback, you obviously can't have a rookie quarterback and not have Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, it's not going to work out though. Like because you're just setting him up to fail. I think that in that situation, Court holding out into training camp would just kill you. Because you just lose out on that chemistry. If it were up to me, I'd just say, tack another year on and we'll figure it out when we get there. Half guarantee 1 more year, put it at $16 million or whatever, and see if he wants that. But
Kind of viewing this from a Broncos standpoint and listening to everything you guys have said about Court, to me, it's come to the point where it just feels like the best thing, not just for the Broncos, but just equally for Court, is to trade him. Now, the before the draft, because current draft picks are more valuable in NFL teams' eyes than future draft picks. So Broncos are going to get a 6th back for him, like not much. What they get for Jerry, they got a 5th and a 6th. Maybe they get the same for Court. Maybe they get a 6th for him or something. But not just for the Broncos, because I don't think it makes sense to give him more money, because I have laid out all the reasons why. I think he's getting paid fairly right now. And when you're going into a rebuild, overpaying a dependent position, to me, just doesn't really make sense. And also, I don't think he's that perfect fit in Sean Payton's offense and what they're going to get from their next quarterback in terms of more of a timing quarterback. But then also, for Courtland's side, he has every reason to be like, man, this place is not for me anymore. I've been with 10 different quarterbacks, guaranteed another quarterback's coming in here this year. This team isn't supposed to be good. One of the things that I think we overlook with Courtland, because we talked about it with Justin Simmons so much, is he hasn't had the opportunity to play with consistency from head coach, from playbook, from offensive coordinator, from quarterback. Nothing has been consistent for him. He hasn't made the playoffs. And Justin Simmons was here, a year, 2 years longer than Court. So we always pointed to him on man, just go let him win. The Broncos probably aren't winning this year. They might not be winning in 2025. Then Courtland's going to be in, 31 years old. For everyone's side, let Courtland go to a place where he can have a consistent quarterback, have those good quarterbacks you talked about, Todd, that a lot of these other receivers have, get these opportunities, and then also maybe he doesn't get a new deal from the next place, but he has 2 more years left on this deal. If he goes and balls out, he's going to go get a new deal after this year. That new team will pay him that new deal, give him a deal before that final year of his deal. To me, it's just like, and now we've seen it from Court. Now he is entering a little bit of a holdout by missing this voluntary. And so I guess it's not a holdout because it's voluntary. He's not getting fined. He doesn't have to be there. But now he's showing, like, look, I really want something to change. And so to me, it's just like, man, this might just be the right time to part ways.
Yeah. I definitely understand that decision and how you feel like it's best for both sides. And I feel like in a lot of ways, I think it will be good for Courtland to go somewhere else and experience winning and be like a big piece of somebody's puzzle. I just don't feel like that's necessarily a win for the Broncos.
Yeah.
And this next season. Like, I think it is good for Courtland, but I think it leaves the Broncos with such a hole. You save a little bit in cap, and you're out there playing with 10 and a rookie quarterback. I just don't think that's a win-win.
Isn't that the same with Justin, though? Like what they did with Justin?
No, because they went and got somebody who they felt like early enough. They went and got somebody who they felt like could replace him.
Yep.
He was cheaper, but when he was on the field, he produced. So in their eyes, their drop off is a lot less than what I would feel like you could get someone to replace Courtland right now.
Isn't that
right
Josh
now.
Reynolds and Brandon Jones, though? I feel like those are equivalent replacements. Josh Reynolds was a starter last year. Brandon Jones played in less than half of the defensive snaps.
But Brandon Jones is a young guy who at points looked like a really good safety who just didn't get the job this year. Josh Reynolds, we kind of know what he is. And what he is a number
starter.
4 receiver.
No, he was a number 2 receiver on a really good Detroit Lions offense last year. He was a number 2 receiver.
His best season, 618 yards, though.
And
that's not a starter.
The reason why it's not the same the reason why it's not the same is because potentially for me, the Broncos could have tried their 2 safeties and see how it worked out. I would not have been scared of that. I would have felt like, yeah, they should have brought somebody else in, but Caden Stearns and PJ Locke have played. Caden has been injured, but PJ stepped up last year and he played well. And they still have Pat Surtain on the outside. They have returning players on the other side. They still have linebacker coming back. But if you talk about the wide receivers, who played a significant role last year besides Courtland Sutton? Jerry Jeudy's gone. Marvin Mims did good on a very small sample size. Yep. Tim Patrick was injured. Reynolds is his first year with the team. Who knows if he meshes with Sean Payton's offense well? I do not feel like it's the same. I feel like losing Courtland would be a bigger blow to the team than, sadly, losing Justin in terms of offense.
And the bigger thing to me is that, like, you might be getting a rookie quarterback. And that's the only way I could get behind trading Courtland. I guess there's 2 ways. One is if you have a plan to replace him. If I don't know that Ayuk would be the perfect fit, but like somebody like that whose name has been thrown around in trade rumors, if you wind up going and trading and getting somebody else to replace him, then I could get behind that. Or if you just don't draft a quarterback this year. But if they trade Courtland and then ask a rookie quarterback to play with the worst wide receiver room in the NFL, it's just not going to work.
The Broncos are rebuilding. They've shown it by everything that they've done. And if you're rebuilding, moving on from a high-paid receiver instead of giving him a new deal, to me, just kind of aligns with those plans more than paying him. But, I mean, great conversations on the Toyota chat from so many people. We're going to have a poll up. I'm curious what Broncos fans think.
I think they're all over the place. I've been watching the chat.
Yeah, it does seem
There's
like
a little
it does.
bit of everything in there.
And that's why a lot of times on this show, we agree on things. And it still makes good conversation. Oh, yeah, exactly. There's other times where I'm wrong where most people agree with me. And it makes a fun debate. And I think this is a really good conversation. Really loved hearing both of your guys' perspective. And we have one super chat before we get out of here. It's coming in from TW007 who says, why would the Broncos keep anyone a part of 8 consecutive losing seasons? Definition of insanity.
Okay, well, first of all, he hasn't been here for 8 years, right? So he hasn't been a part of all of them.
Correct.
Also,
he hasn't been a part of a winning season.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to point to TW007's point.
But what are you going to do? Just cut the entire roster because they lost? Like, there's only so much turnover you can do from year to year. And, I mean, more importantly, it's because you want a rookie quarterback, and Courtland Sutton would be great for a rookie quarterback.
I think really to Hank's point, like you're not going to, when you decide like the rebuild's over, you're not going to cut all 53 players and just start from scratch. I don't think Justin Simmons is a losing player and brings teams down. I just think he was not on a team that was set up to win. I think if Justin Simmons signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're guaranteed a winning record next year, and he's going to make them better next year. Just like Courtland Sutton. He has never been on a winning season during his time with the Broncos and in the NFL. I think he can go to another team and be on a winning team. So I don't think like Courtland Sutton's bringing the team down in any ways. And just to make it clear, because I have played the side of the Broncos in this, if the Broncos move on from Courtland Sutton, in terms of like their Madden rating, they're getting worse. It's the argument is just like, is it better for the long haul with the finances and stuff? So you move on from Courtland, you are getting worse. There's no doubt about that. But this has been a very fun conversation. A lot more fun conversations coming up with the draft just 8-9 days away. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. on the DNVR Broncos podcast to break down more.
We all silly like the mayor.